Yay! We did it, everyone! We finally won a home game! Feels good, doesn't it? Like they said in Major League, that's called a winning streak. What can I say? Great to finally get the first home victory since 2019, and I could talk about a lot of things, but primarily I'm just going to gush about Trey Ford right now. Trey Ford is hard to believe that he's still only in his first handful of starts in the CFL, just with the way he plays. He seemingly is just getting better and better every game, and it's almost amazing to see, really. His accuracy is very good. Like that pass in the first half that he dropped in between about three Ottawa defenders, seemingly just right in the bucket to Dunbar. It's a thing of beauty. There were some throws he missed. A couple I can think of. One was the one to Mitchell in the end zone where it was a little behind. He also had one later in the game that was a little behind Dunbar over the middle. But Geno Lewis finally had another really big game, which was great to see. Above all, this team now has balance on offense. And they're not necessarily doing anything new either. Just good old-fashioned run between the tackles, make high percentage throws, move the chains. It's not that hard. Finally done it. Now, one thing that is interesting to me, and I really took note of it in this game, many times on broken plays, you'll see Ford want to roll to his left. And this is a little bit unusual for a right-handed quarterback. Usually they will try and roll to their right-hand side, but most of the time when plays break down, you would see Ford scrambling to the left, like on the touchdown run. He went through all of his reads, nothing was open, he went to his left. On the touchdown pass to Geno Lewis, rolled to the left. It's not that he never rolls to the right, but it seems like much more often than not, he's going to his left. Now, there's no doubt that CFL defensive coordinators who watch far more games than I do have picked up on this. And I wonder if going forward, opposing defenses will try and overload the offensive left-hand side to prevent Ford from rolling that direction. Going forward, Jarius Jackson might have to consider getting Ford more comfortable moving to his right. It's not that Ford is ineffective going to his right, but he's often looking to go to the left. And there was even a play where he initially rolled to the right. I believe it was in the third quarter. They ended up running back to the left. So overall, offensive performance, very good all around. Really can't complain at all. Kevin Brown and Shannon Brooks are both getting in on the action out of the backfield. One potential concern I may have going forward is some unhappiness with the receivers because there's not many balls to go around, particularly when you use the running backs in the passing game like Edmonton does. But also what Ford has brought to this offense is the ability to move laterally. It expands the field so much. And also, another sign of a guy who has grown very quickly is that he keeps his eyes downfield when he's pressured. You see this repeatedly, that he'll be running around, he'll keep looking, his eyes will stay downfield, and that's one area that Cornelius really struggled in. It seemed like if his first read wasn't there, he would basically start trying to run at that point. And he was nothing but a north-south type runner. He couldn't really move east and west the way Ford does. Moreover, Ford just seems so calm under pressure. Remember that one play in the middle of it where he just kind of danced around in the backfield for a while, eluded a bunch of red-black defenders, and then I think he didn't gain a single yard on the play, but man, it was an entertaining no-gain play. That's all I'm going to say about that. Moreover, the defense is also a lot better than they were earlier in the season. I think a large part of that is simply due to they don't have as many 2-and-outs to contend with, so they don't have to be on the field as much. And the last 2 games, they didn't hit their second half wall that they seemingly always hit during the first 9 games of the season. AC Leonard has also become a huge impact player for this defense, finally getting after the quarterback on a much more consistent basis. And I also think Ed Gainey in the secondary provides that leadership that this young secondary was missing for the most of the first 6 games. Obviously, Gainey was in on the first one, then he was out for 6 more. But between games 2 and 7, yeah, there was some breakdowns on the back end of a secondary. You'd often see this team getting beat deep on those long passes, but that's not really happening anymore. Now, I do realize the opponent tonight was Ottawa, a team that is very much struggling right now. But nonetheless, this does look like a promising performance for this Elks team going forward. But no rest for this team as they now have Calgary home and home the next 2 weeks. And for a realistic shot at contending for the playoffs, they really do have to beat Calgary both times. Even though they're only a game behind, you split that. The tail end of this team's schedule is unforgiving. After the Calgary games, you got one with the Riders, and then you're going to have Winnipeg and Toronto and Montreal. So some of the best teams in the league, not necessarily in that order, finishing out your schedule. This team still faces a long uphill climb to get into the playoffs. I'm not really expecting they'll get it done, but as long as this team is continuing to play their best football and continuing to clean up all the things that they've been ailed by this season, namely penalties. That was another thing that nearly reared its ugly head against Ottawa. Just all the stupid penalties. This team just doesn't seem to be done making. Well, at least this team is headed in the right direction. And at least we have a home win. That's enough for me for right now. So, thank you all for listening. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.